Beardy and the Beast Media Club.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Thank you for joining us for the Beardy and the Beast Media Club, a discussion into a piece of media where we don't shy away from spoilers. We will seduce those spoilers like an unfaithful fiance. We are available here and on many other services with a list available at beardyandthebeast.com. My name is Drew, and he probably thought that I was going to imitate Wiseau. Devon?
Oh, hi, Drew.
Joining us is the incredible and talented author and filmmaker, Ashley Good.
I'm at least as talented as Tommy Wiseau.
I would say you're at least 15% more talented.
Oh, you said I can chill, and just a little shout out before I scare away all of your listeners. I'm also the director of the Foggy Owl Film Festival, which you guys have helped with in the past, and that is now open for submissions. So if any of you listeners have a short dark comedy or short creative horror film that you would like to submit to our festival, please do so at foggyowlfilms.com. And I will set up a promo code later where you can type in BNB20 to save 20% off of your submission code. And I'm going to write that down now, or I will not actually set that up.
I wrote it down too. We're good to go.
I didn't. I'm leaving that with you guys.
Where can your books be found?
Oh, you're so sweet for letting me shill my books as well. They are available through all major online retailers. You know, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chapters, wherever your fine books are sold.
Awesome. Well, today we will be discussing 2003's classic epic, The Room, from Tommy Wiseau. So, Ashley, was this film a bed of roses, or was it just constant Wiseau butt?
I mean, I have breast cancer, so...
That didn't escape me, like... when the mother was just like, oh yeah, I have breast cancer, and then there was no reaction, and then it was never brought up again.
For the record, I feel like it's bad juju to say words like that out loud, so like, knock on wood, I am healthy and I do not. But yeah, I mean, I could just throw quotes at you all night. I mean, Devon, tell me about your sex life.
Well, that was easy.
Oh.
One thing that I noticed right off the bat, at least for the first half of the film, is everybody was talking like Tommy Wiseau. Like, they had the same kind of cadence and rhythm to what they were saying. It was really throwing me off.
Just a little bit.
It was almost like, I believe it was written by Tommy, right?
It was everything by Tommy.
And it's quite clear that there wasn't even an attempt to make the different characters sound like different people in the script writing process.
Yeah, I the way I looked at the film myself when it comes to that is it was like it was written by a middle schooler for a film project. And like there's an idea there and just no way to execute it in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, some might call him an auteur, I believe is the term.
I think there might be a letter wrong.
I told you I'm really dumb right now, so just bear with me. You know, you might expect me to come here today and to shit on the room, but believe it or not, I can't do that. No matter how horrible the movie is, I can't fully shit on the room.
Is it because you have a film that you directed, wrote, and starred in? And you're covering for Tommy?
I didn't star in it, but Drew, that is exactly why independent filmmakers need to stick together. And no, I did not have a $6 million budget like Tommy did. I did not have ties to what I'm assuming is a mafia of some sort. But alas, he put his heart and soul and ass into this movie, and I can't tear it apart.
You know, surprisingly, like, let's face it, there's a lot bad about this movie, but I actually really enjoyed it. I actually agree with that. It's like I could tell that he had a passion for what he was doing. We'll leave it there. Like,
If I'm gonna, it's not one of my classic arbitrary ratings, but all I can say is I didn't hate it.
yeah,
Like, it's not the core. It's not Highlander
Flowers.
Endgame. It's there was redeeming features of it, even though it was just very, very odd.
Like,
Super strange. This is gonna be off the ball here, but like the introduction of that kid, Denny,
yeah,
in that scene, he came in and it totally looked like this little kid. I guess not little kid, he was supposed to be like college age or whatever. But it looked like he was lusting after Lisa and what's his face? I don't know what Tommy's character's name.
I think it was Tommy.
no, it wasn't Tommy.
No, it was like
Oh.
John
It was
or
like John,
Jason or something.
Johnny.
Before you get too into the explanation of this film, shouldn't you maybe read out the synopsis of it for, your lucky viewers and or listeners that haven't had a chance to watch this movie? Because the synopsis itself is gold.
Well, that is amazing. First thing I'd be saying is, why are you listening when you haven't watched the film? It's the whole point of Media Club.
What's the film? Or I mean, don't listen to this and get all the story beats.
Oh, look, we're done.
Well, in conclusion, I would like to give the room 3 out of 5 spoons. By the way, how have you not commented on the spoons that are in the background of nearly every scene?
It was spoons?
And that's
Is
what
there
the whole
like
thing in the cult, like, okay, so the cult movie, so there's like little rituals and everything if you go and watch it live, usually with friends, if you guys remember what those were like back in the day, events with friends, they were wonderful. Every time a spoon appears on screen, you have to throw a plastic spoon. Because there are so many references to spoons in this film.
so like a Seinfeld-esque Superman thing?
Okay, so I'm either having a horrible fever dream, or there are in fact spoons in the artwork in practically every picture in the background of the movie. And I'm looking it up right now, and I am not on crack. Yes, spoons. It's a thing. All of the paintings in the house, they're of spoons.
Just like,
Yeah, I can say of all of the things to catch in the film, that's not what I caught at all.
I was pretty much just focused on butt constantly.
See, I was really lucky in that my viewing of The Room was with a group of independent filmmakers before who had all seen it. So they had everything planned out. This was at Cinevic, and yeah, we had the plastic spoons. They knew what to yell out. It was good times. Then we went over and watched The Disaster Artist. So yeah, you have to watch The Room correctly. There's a method to it.
Well, we're too uncultured for that, apparently. That's what happens when we're just laymen, right?
We're just laymen with opinions.
Yeah.
I watched a film. It was so clear that everything was like self-focused and self-referential, like a monument to himself. Like it seemed very like self-centric. Like even down to the synopsis, as you mentioned before, like Johnny is a successful bank executive who lives quietly in San Francisco townhouse with his fiancée Lisa. One day, putting aside any scruple, he seduces Johnny's best friend Mark. From there, nothing will be the same again. It's like, and at every point, everybody was like, but Johnny's the best. How could you do this? To the point where after he kills himself at the end, I was half expecting there to be a police officer scene where the police officer is like standing there and just, or the paramedic or something, and just like, why would he do this? Johnny's such a good guy. Like it would have just been on so on point for what was going on in this film.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised how little I hated this film. Like, definitely very much the Tommy Wiseau show. I couldn't help watching and going, it's like, if you'd just given the script to a friend to like read over it once, maybe just move a few of these scenes around just a little bit, you probably would have had something here. It still would have been bad. But even then, I'm like, it's like I could see hints of things like Cruel Intentions or stuff in there. Like the ideas were there.
Just because I said before I wouldn't shit on it doesn't mean I liked it, so I'm just going to say that. But I admire Tommy Wiseau's, let's say, gumption and revisionist talent, because the movie was a complete and utter flop, but he believed in himself. He believed in himself so much and had $6 million that he managed to turn a film from 2003 into like a 20-year-long career path. He still tours around with this movie, and if I recall correctly, he had a billboard up. It was like somewhere in Hollywood. I think he had it up for over 10 years. This billboard saying that it was the best movie ever and everybody should watch it. Like, I wish I believed in myself enough to invest in myself in those ways and to be comfortable enough to show my pasty white ass on camera, but I don't have that, as I said, gumption. So to that, I commend Tommy Wiseau.
Well, considering how self-oriented this entire film was, I wouldn't be surprised at his personal focus, I guess you could say. His willingness to go to the end to show everyone himself. Butt and all. I do
Just
kind
lay
of
himself out there, Bear.
Some people have suggested that this whole film was just, a way for him to launder money. But I would like to suggest an alternative reason behind The Room. Think of it. This film took months and months to shoot. It went well over schedule. It went well over budget. What better... Oh my God, what is the word for alias? Alibi. What better alibi if you were to, say, commit some murders or such, than to say you were working on a $6 million movie for the last few months? I present that perhaps... Huh?
I don't know,
Between the lines.
I don't know. It'd be hard to do if you have the entire cast and crew on every scene, regardless if they need to be there or not.
I'm just saying, Drew said that E.T. was an allegory for like Hollywood pedophiles, so I would like to just randomly throw out the idea that Tommy Wiseau is a murderer.
No,
completely unfounded, of course. Don't sue these guys or me.
I actually have a theory about this film.
I'd love to hear it.
I had one developing when they introduced Denny, because like there was this whole weird thing where it seemed like this kid was interested like in this couple, but not in like a regular friendship way. Like when he hops on the bed and they're all having this awkward pillow fight, it's just I just like to watch you two. And I'm like, is this kid trying to like seduce this couple? And I also, at that time, I thought he was much younger than he was. And I'm like, oh no, it's happening again, E.T. But my current theory is, I think this entire thing was a way for Tommy Wiseau to at least kind of hook up with Juliet Daniel. Because unless I'm crazy, I think the only person she actually, at least the only person she's actually topless with and like full grinding on with is Tommy Wiseau. Whereas when she hooked up with Mark on the staircase, which weird spiral staircase with no carpeting, not a great idea. All they did was kind of like neck a bit, and then it was like, okay, we did the thing. Considering how extended every other like sexual encounter in this film was, that one stood really out to me. It was almost like, yeah, you're supposed to have sex, but like we're not going to do much. You could be topless in all the scenes with me, but not with.
So you're saying that this is in fact a $6 million catfishing operation?
I think so.
Well, I mean, he liked the sex scene so much he wanted to do another one. And she was like, no.
It's like, I got $6 million. What are you gonna do?
Have you actually read about his history and
Not
all
at
of that?
all.
No.
Finances? Oh my god, you guys, The Room is so much more than a movie.
Oh no.
The Tommy Wiseau rabbit hole goes deep.
You're the expert here.
Yeah.
I'm not though. I watched this years ago and I'm just recalling to the best of my recollection. But I highly recommend not only watching the Disaster Artist movie, but reading the book. The book was like so much better than the movie, and it will, yeah, it's very entertaining. Don't buy my book. Buy the Disaster. Actually, no, buy my book. I need
Yeah,
money
buy,
now.
buy Ashley's book. Just
Oh, I can say I have not looked into anything about this. Now I want to.
oh, we can throw Disaster on the list.
Yeah, I'll
Whatever
have
you
to.
Absolutely. I mean, this should be a two-parter. You can't discuss The Room without the movie satirizing The Room and then the book based on, yeah, it's just very important.
I just watching it as something like self-sufficient and standalone.
Hmm.
It was hard at times. Not as hard as Tommy's firm white butt, but it's definitely
So
it was
firm, right? Like he's clenching the whole time.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's trying to
Oh,
make
yeah.
it look good.
Yeah.
But I was definitely sitting here and I was like, this scene is 3 times longer than it actually needs to be. The weird rose petal stuff was like getting to me. Like, it kind of made sense the one time, but then when it became a thing, it's like, is this some weird fetishism he's trying to showcase with roses?
No, it became a thing because the second scene was just like was cut footage from the first scene because she refused to do another scene like that with him.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's just one scene. It's the only time it happened because she said, fuck that, I'm not doing it.
He's a weird dude.
Yup.
I actually know 2 people that have met him, and yeah, that is the consensus. He is a very weird dude that gives off very creepy vibes. Part of me is afraid to insult him because there's like a small part in the back of my mind that's like, would I be friends with Tommy Wiseau, this random 66-year-old, possibly Russian mob connected filmmaker? And that small part of my brain is like, yes, I would take that chance to be friends with him. But yeah, I have 2 sources that said he's creepy as hell.
Yeah, I was actually talking with Jamie Stillburn of the Vancouver metal band Heron. Check out our podcast with him, Invaders from Mars. And he was telling me that he also met Wiseau at a live tour thing. And apparently, but he kept walking off the stage and coming back with more belts on for some reason. Like, he started with 1 and then he came back with 2 and then 3, and every time he'd leave and come back, he would have another belt on.
Clearly, he was trying to be a Final Fantasy character.
Mm.
But that's the revisionist history that I'm talking about. This movie was a failure, but he's just like, no, I was trying to be silly and campy. Yes, look how weird I am. But, I mean, he just leaned into it.
So
Well, there's nothing wrong with the leaning into it. Clearly, he thought this was serious. And that part, yeah, no. I'd have to call BS on it being purposefully bad.
I don't know. I could see an argument for it being purposefully bad, especially with frickin' what's his name? The guy who seemed like he was hopped up on Denny's drugs. Random friend's boyfriend with the weird chocolate sex scenes. There's no way someone acts like that in a drama and the director thinks this is perfect, this is the tone I'm searching for. That seems intentionally campy to me.
So
okay, so this is where, oh, sorry, Devon.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's like I felt like it was like I think there was an intentional camp, But I think the feeling I got from it was this guy's just watched daytime soaps all the time, and he thinks this is how stories are written.
Mm.
Like that's the type of camp I got, not the I'm gonna go watch Velocipaster.
I want to watch that.
It's on the list somewhere.
So, while filming one of my shorts a couple of years back, I had cast this one actor in the lead role in the short, and he forgot every single one of his lines.
Much like
Every
Tommy.
single one. He was fine in past productions, but in this one could not remember. We would literally feed him lines. We'd be, okay, just say these words and I will cut it together because this is taking forever. And he would still fuck it up. So never underestimate how bad somebody's acting can be. I say as a non-actor.
Well, as the most premier actor that you've worked with, I would say it's not actually that difficult.
Yeah, from what I heard, you stole the scene.
Says that one reviewer.
Better than the other review that said I was responsible for ruining their year.
That's a really harsh. Like, I really enjoyed Pity Party.
Thank you.
Check out Pity Party. Available on.
Oh.
Is it still available on Amazon?
I'll stay alive another day. What? On Amazon? No, it's on Vimeo now. The whole Amazon thing, they kept suggesting it alongside German softcore porn.
Nice.
So people would go to watch it, be like, there's children in the first scene. And anyway, I'm pretty sure that's why it's just sitting at 5 point whatever on IMDb, because all these Germans wanted to jack off to it, but it was just an indie comedy.
Speaking of like weird chocolate sex boyfriend, I totally was getting the feeling that the weird drugs storyline that Denny bought drugs from this gangster who was going to shoot him because he owed him money for some reason, something drugs, was somehow funneling to weird chocolate sex boyfriend. And that's why weird chocolate sex boyfriend was like tripped over his shoelace, fell a foot, and was like knock nearly unconscious and was acting really weird. Like, I thought there would be something like that, but nope. It's just all about how Johnny's the man and everyone should love Johnny except for the evil woman. I was sitting there at like points I was like, she's not a good person, but why is everyone acting like she's like a villain? That she's just like fully toxic.
Hardcore gaslighting. They're trying to gaslight her out of that relationship so they can all have a chance with Tommy Wiseau and that sweet, sweet white ass.
I'm pretty. At times, the biggest twist to me was that Denny liked Lisa. I totally thought Denny was into Johnny.
Yep.
The biggest twist to me was that the rooftop scene involved a green screen and not actually the backdrop of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely noticed that totally a staircase that made perfect sense for sure.
Yeah.
It's like they would walk into the staircase for the rooftop and then immediately go left. It's like, but there's nothing there.
See, I used some of that Wiseau misdirection because I presented that as a joke, but initially I did not realize it was a green screen for like 5 minutes. I was watching this, and I mean, I had a drink or two, so that probably influenced it a bit, but I was finally like, oh, it's a green screen. Everyone's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it would have been cheaper to actually just film that on a rooftop, if anybody knows anything about green screens and editing and stuff, but no, he went that extra mile.
I would.
And he had a rooftop. Like, I think I read he actually had a rooftop available to him to do the scenes and just didn't use it.
Is this why the money laundering conspiracies come up, like him just making super weird choices like that?
Hey, you're figuring it out. I do finger guns, but yes.
I'm
I would be
probably
interested in knowing if any actors or starlets, went missing during that 2003 filming period, just to see if there's anything to my theory.
Let the Googling begin. I made terrible life decisions when it came to making the films. Never entered my mind for conspiracies like that.
I just thought it was a poorly put together film. Like nothing made sense. Nothing was together. Everything was to prop up Tommy. Everything was to knock down Juliet's character, Lisa. It was like all I got through the entire thing was like, this is a weird filmmaker just trying to like immortalize in film a bad breakup he had, while trying to. I'm just gonna guess that Juliet looks like a former partner of Tommy. Just saying.
So what do you think had a bigger budget, The Room or Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River music video, which I believe came out around the same time?
Probably Cry Me a River.
Just in terms of 2000s videos about bad breakups and then creepy doppelgangers. Irrelevant reference. Leave me alone. I'm not old. You're old.
Well, that was during the era of these like multi-million-dollar music videos.
Yeah.
Because those were just huge advertisements for the CD. It's also Justin Timberlake, and that song was massive. Even moody little like metal listening Drew was like, I like the song. I like the song. Video's good. Girls are stupid. Spooderman. Wait, do you know the answer to this?
No, I was just
I thought you were
there was a
quizzing me.
lull and I threw some stuff out there, but I will happily Google it if that's what you guys want. I'm just an old lady making some 2000s references. What do you want?
Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
Well, the consistencies with the like the characters didn't make sense to me as well. Like, take Mark for example. He went immediately from Johnny's the best, I could never do anything, to I'm totally hooking up with you, but I totally regret it, to F Johnny, I'm a terrible person, to oh my god, it's totally Lisa's fault that Johnny shot himself out of nowhere. I'm just like, the characters didn't make sense. They weren't believable.
Well, the acting didn't make it believable. Like this is where I go and say it's like it felt like there was a story there. Like he had something written out. He had an idea in his head. He just had no one there going, it's like, maybe we should change this a little bit. Maybe give it some structure. Maybe, actually have a bit of a thing with Lisa trying to seduce Mark instead of going from like, I'm like, oh, Mark doesn't seem like too bad a guy. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, oh, you're a dick.
What I'm gathering from this conversation is that The Room really is representative of the time, of the 2000s era. It was just a lot of men not being told no and doing what they want. So
But
all of creepy men like Justin Timberlake in his music video with his Britney Spears doppelganger, which we find out almost 20 years later he was being not a good man behind the scenes. I'm just saying.
I would maybe agree with this, except for the fact that in this film, the only person who didn't understand the word no was Lisa. The fact that she was just like constantly pestering
everyone.
Yeah, Mark while playing Johnny, and Mark's like, leave me alone, stop calling me, and she's like, but I miss you. I want to have sex with you. If a guy did that, even back in the early 2000s, there would be like restraining orders.
But a guy wrote those lines and directed that scene and edited that scene.
If you can call it directing.
Or writing.
I may have alluded to the fact that Tommy Wiseau is laundering money and maybe murdered somebody, and the whole thing was, a product of a sexually not great time for women. However, I'm not going to say he didn't direct or write this movie. Filmmaking takes work, and an indie filmmaker never shits on another indie filmmaker.
And that's how The Room gets so popular.
I mean,
What a
I've
be
never
your
made a
own biggest
film.
cheerleader.
Which is for the record, Ashley is not the jerk in this conversation. Ashley is the one being very respectful for The Room, whereas Devon and Drew of the Beardy and the Beast podcast are just taking a dump all over this film because it's not good.
No.
And I can't be dishonest. I am for sale.
Jesus. Look for like human trafficking offers? Like, what are you hoping for?
Hey,
Little does everyone know that that people could choose to pay us money, and we will not say necessarily bad things about their films.
I will not.
Wait, is this
I
a
will.
blackmail operation now? I don't have any money. Don't shake me down to delete that review on IMDb. I knew it was you guys. I knew it.
I will do a review of a film if paid. I will just not say any of the negative things that I'm thinking about it.
Yep. Be 100% truthful in a review otherwise.
I am for sale.
As we discussed before we ever started the podcast.
the weird character inconsistencies, because I keep wanting to shine a spotlight on this. In the span of what would have been 20 minutes in that universe's time, Johnny went from kissing Claudette, the mother, on the cheek during a party, and Claudette just being like infatuated with Johnny for no reason, to like calling her a B. And I was like, what? You guys are in such good terms. You're on better terms with her mom than you are with her. I don't get anything about the writing.
Have someone maybe read the script first and go, maybe we should change this stuff. And again, that's the thing I'm saying. It's like, I'm watching this, is like, I could see taking what you have and just re-editing it and having some sort of cohesive story. I just don't think he had any idea what he was doing and didn't think about it or
In 2003, like, he could have been... I do not know, and I'm not accusing him of... entirely possible that he might have just been, like, on some type of drugs. I mean, filmmaking in California...
You guys have also left out the fact that he filmed it digitally and with film at the same time from 2 different cameras. That feels important for a film podcast to mention.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Well, he didn't use all of it.
I think I heard something like he had like a 4-hour, one to be like 4 hours long or something like that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that would have never gotten by me for the podcast. I've been like, nope.
I also just want to add, it is possible maybe he got too much useful feedback on his screenplay. And he was finally like, you guys, I've just got to trust my gut and be true to my own artistic vision here. I'm getting feedback from everybody. I've just got to do what's best for Wiseau.
Yeah, and it would have been listening to everyone else.
I'm going to take my kindness hat off now and say, or he's a really shitty writer. However, at least he wrote something, because you wouldn't believe how many writers are out there that have ideas and have never written a page.
There's like a trope in... There's a trope in filmmaking about that very thing, especially when it has anything to do with Los Angeles. The person who has an idea for a show, or the person who's writing a script and they're going to make it big. That's very, very much a true fact, that a lot of people have an idea but don't have the actual ambition or work drive through with it. That's why, like, I have a lot of respect for you as a filmmaker. Like, you come up with a concept, you write it, direct it, etc., and you actually like push through and have a final product. That's so difficult.
I'm genuinely not sure what's worse, though, the people that always talk about how much they're writing that don't do anything, or the ones that tell the people that are writing all of their ideas and how they should make the things for them. Because you wouldn't believe how many people have told me, you should make this movie. Or they'll be like, I have this idea we should collaborate on, but they've never made anything before. And I'm like, so you just want me to fund your project?
and write it for you, and
I'm just
edit it,
saying,
and film it.
the fact that Tommy Wiseau went out and made his own film with his however ill-gotten money, at least he did it, and he was his own biggest cheerleader, and that I have to respect.
I respect it that they call it a drama, but it was so absurd that it came off to me as a comedy, and I was actually like genuinely laughing at it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was entertained for sure.
Okay, you guys, please right now Google a picture of the billboard that he had up for years in Hollywood.
Okay.
All right.
Devon, your life will be better for this. Drew, you've hit rock bottom a long time ago. I mean, this is just...
I mean, harsh, but true.
Sorry.
Write about that in the tear-soaked pages of my diary.
The best movie ever, it says. Because if you put quotations around something, it means somebody has said it and it must be true.
Oh, obviously.
I mean, I do like the fact that he's leaning into its negativity. It's like when I can't think of, so I think maybe Kevin Smith, as silly as he is, kind of, I think he did one of those things where they take a negative review, selling point.
I believe we saw that with Little Hours, the negative Christian reviews.
Yes, yes.
That they just.
Hey, you know what? Maybe this film had remnants of like the Decameron and the fact that it like maybe it was just 7 pages, and like everything else was just made up on the fly.
Apparently, because Tommy Wiseau was having to read from cue cards because he couldn't remember what he wrote for his own lines.
Oh, that would make sense why his delivery is all weird, and he's always looking somewhere different in one shot than he is.
There was one author, I can't not remember who it was now. It was that same type of thing where it was just, she had a book that sold massively because it was just that bad. Or it makes me wonder if someone like that would lean into it as well.
I mean, I really think he was a product of his time, and I don't think he could have the quote-unquote success now if The Room was to come out like right now. He came out right before social media really blew up, and he still had more control over his messaging and over his identity and branding before everybody else could have their say. So he could go out and, make the merch, make the billboard, and get people talking about it, but they couldn't communicate effectively enough to be like, actually, that movie's shit, to warn people not to see it. And there wasn't enough noise to drown it out. I mean, the novelty of a movie that was so bad was still there. But I think if it came out now, like he did a movie with his friend, oh my God, the guy that wrote The Disaster Artist, the guy that played Mark, what's his name? But he did a movie with him like a few years back now, right? Called BFFs, and I don't think anybody saw it. I know I didn't watch it. Oh, Greg Sestero.
I was probably just trying to cash in on the hype.
The hype almost 20 years late, but yeah, exactly. He tried and nobody saw it.
Well, Best Friends came out in 2017, so did The Disaster Artist. So
yeah,
if he had a heads up,
audience.
He's probably just trying to cash in on that hype at the end.
I think people still, like, even with social media, I think this movie still actually probably would have become what it has because it's so memeable. Just the fact there's so much you can take from it that people are going to watch it for that reason only.
I think it's a time capsule.
Kind of also live in a time where it would get blasted in a headline on social media. People read that headline and be like, okay, I won't watch that. And not even get to that meme. It would end up being like an underground thing, but not. Right now it is kind of that like overground underground, like a mainstream, emo bands that sell out.
Are you upset you didn't get tickets to that cruise or something?
The Emo's Not Dead cruise? I would love to go, but then I would have to go to California.
Be amazing.
I mean, they are going to Mexico, which would be nice. I wouldn't mind going there. I'm sure California is not that bad. I just like few listeners there, but fun to make fun of other places that are not here.
If you want to listen to make fun of places that are close to where we've lived, go listen to Ashley's podcast.
Hey,
as we crap on stuff out of nowhere.
Sadly, that's taking a bit of a hiatus. I don't know if the show is coming back maybe one day, but yeah, there are some interesting interviews in past episodes if anyone wants to check that out.
I heard there's these guys called Beardy and the Beast or something.
Yeah, they make a few appearances. I don't know what their deal is, but yeah.
Just filling time because you didn't want to do solo casts.
Well, now I'm kicking myself because I didn't try to talk to Tommy Wiseau, because I bet I could have. Like, now that my energy's coming back and stuff and I'm feeling better, I'm like, shit, I should have tried to talk to Tommy Wiseau.
And then
I had
there
a
could have
few
been
good
like a
interviews.
cross
I
promotion podcast thing.
Oh, but he probably would have turned into one of those guests that then think we're like, and by the way, this isn't a jab at you guys at all. I'm going to preface by saying that, but sometimes you interview guests and then you've literally met them once for the interview and then they think you're besties and you're constantly getting emails to promote their stuff, and it's like, anyway, I think that's how it would have went with Tommy Wiseau. So maybe it's for the best that we've never met. I'm just too cool for him. I'm too cool for him.
Yeah, me and Dev get what you're putting down. We understand.
Yeah, then Drew just shows up here. And
to be back on track. So about 20 minutes about 20 minutes into this film, I looked at the time remaining. I was like, how is this film an hour and 40 minutes long? There's nothing about this that needs to be an hour and 40 minutes long. Again, every scene was 60% longer than it actually needed to be, and half of it could be cut out.
Especially when people just come to the door, say, "Oh, hi, is Johnny here?" "No." "Okay, I go now."
I'm just like, if he was trying to cash in on some like Seinfeld reminiscent like film about nothing, and people just show up randomly and say dumb things, then I'd be like, okay. But any meaning in the film is completely lost to the fact that he shoots himself at the end. Didn't it, like, okay. So he's like awkwardly knocking things off of dressers and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is the weirdest tantrum I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden he like has a gun for no reason. And he's like, well, I guess it's all over, and shoots himself. Just so like everyone else can feel bad about themselves. Like, I just don't understand.
So you mentioned the kind of Seinfeld-esque pithiness of people just showing up and leaving. What if that actually was a Seinfeld reference that we all missed? Okay, I'm going to put on my conspiracy hat this time again. Not implying murder, but like maybe this was a brilliant movie because he was trying to explore American film tropes through the lens of like a non-native English speaking immigrant, and how they might interpret things with a language barrier, and how fake Hollywood is, which is why there's plastic spoons in the frames. And yeah, bet someone's written a paper like that. Fun fact, back in college, I wrote a paper about why Joss Whedon could be considered a feminist icon from his work with Firefly. That didn't age well.
I mean, didn't he call himself a feminist?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was talking about the characters in the show, but then yeah, he straight up like, traded sexual favors and stuff for work. And
oh, so you mean like a male feminist?
Not a good man. Yeah, well, yeah, anybody that calls themselves a male feminist is like, that's instant red flag avoid behavior. Never trust them. But I was naive, and I thought I was so clever picking a man for my feminist paper. I'll show that class.
You didn't interview him, did you? Is this some like weird cry for help through the ages? Whose baby is it actually?
Oh, God. No, I did not meet Joss Whedon. I would have leveraged that career assistance to be doing a little bit better than appearing on the Beardy and the Beast podcast.
No, this is the height of your career.
That feels like a slight.
He implied that my baby is not my husband's. I'm allowed to knock your podcast.
But we're having a baby. Congratulations!
Oh my God, I hate you all so much.
That's the thing. I'm the jerk in this situation, so I get to say dumb shit. Isn't that how it works? Oh, I swore. Jeez.
There may
Oh,
have
this
been
is
a
a
bit of
no
that.
swearing show?
we
Well,
do
I'm
our
sorry.
no, we do our best, but
We do our best.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah. Oops.
Someone proves they don't listen to our podcasts.
I do.
I'm so surprised.
I have. Not every one, but I have listened.
I can think. I'm guessing there was 2 you listened to.
It's hard
No, she
listening
definitely
to a
didn't listen to
podcast with
herself.
friends. It's really hard listening to a podcast with friends because I just want to like talk to you guys and the recording, and it's weird.
But back to what you were saying, I could almost buy that he was trying to deconstruct tropes. Because again, like it felt, it had that soapy feel to it. Like again, like I felt like something was being tried and just no idea how to execute. And that was constantly in my mind throughout the film. So I could see something like that.
You two might be geniuses. You might be super smart. I think you're onto something. Like if it was like American media as seen through the lens of someone who was not born within within that culture, so much might make sense, especially with your addition there. I'm wondering, he should have went with that instead of like whatever weird lean-ins that he had. I think that would have made sense if he went that way.
But see, it came out in 2003, thus it was a product of its era. If it came out now, yeah, he would lean into the whole virtue signaling aspect of it. But at the time, it was easier to be like, haha, it's kind of rapey and you see my ass. Isn't this funny? This was totally deliberate. No?
Oh,
Like, I think I do think he leaned into the wrong aspects.
my trouble with this film, to kind of like sum it up, is the only real positive that I see is that it was funny. It's supposed to be a drama. So is that a good thing? I definitely wanted to fast forward a bunch of times. I definitely wanted to push ahead, especially with all the butt scenes, weird chocolate sex for no reason. You're sitting here and you're like, I've never met or seen these people before, but we have a bit about underwear. I don't know.
What I've heard, like with Stephanie Meyer when she was writing Twilight, it's that idea of like wanting to write something steamy, but being Mormon, so you can't.
Do either of you watch Star Trek?
Yes.
I've seen an episode or two.
Okay. So every time Star Trek tries to be quote unquote sexy, it is the cringiest stuff I've ever seen.
Oh, like written by people who may have never had sex before.
Most likely. A la Twilight and The Room.
Again, it's like his idea of like what he took his examples from, again, felt like Days of Our Lives instead of, anything else that existed. Like it just had that super soapy feel that it felt like that was the only experience with media he saw when he went to write this film.
At least we can be happy that there isn't some like online campaign for the Wiseau cuts with all the like the cutout footage to make one giant 4-hour long movie, because people would subject themselves to that.
There. It's probably out there.
And they'd probably end up like Johnny in the end of the movie.
In both digital and film.
So what scenes were digital then? Like the rooftop ones, I think, then.
I think the entire released movie was digital, but he also shot it in film.
Oh, at the same time.
Yeah, because he didn't know the difference, and like I know you were talking about the over budget and such. He didn't know the difference, and unlike every other film production out there where they'll rent those cameras, he like purchased these massive, expensive cameras outright.
Yeah.
And because he didn't know what he was doing, he's like, well, I obviously need both. Yeah.
I think they were actually attached to each other too, which would mean that one camera has like a slightly different angle than the other.
This would
so
make
somewhere out there's another version that's like a little bit off.
Wondering if that would make the film angles of the 4-person football tossing alley scene actually make sense. Where there's people talking and it's like for 30 seconds it's focused on the two people who are not talking.
Mm.
I think it was like it was Tommy and Denny,
Yeah.
and then Mark and the weird psychologist that got added to the film for no are all playing football in this alleyway. Oh no, it wasn't the psychologist. It was the weird chocolate sex guy. Um, and like Mark and chocolate sex guy are saying things, but it's just focused on Denny and Tommy, and they're not doing anything. They're not even
Yeah.
reacting to it. Like, it didn't make sense.
Well,
Just-
it made perfect sense because Tommy Wiseau was in the scene.
Yes.
And this is why you guys need to watch and read The Disaster Artist. There's so much lore behind the room that you can't fully appreciate. Now I've got you thinking about camera angles and stuff. I've got you thinking about the spoons in the background pictures. Oh, you guys are going to have to go down a room rabbit hole, and you're welcome for that.
So what
just-
weird stuff have you hidden in all of the scenes of your films, Ashley? Do you have sporks?
Just my blood, sweat, and tears, Devon.
That's literal.
sporks?
It's kind of gross.
Oh, okay.
I will say though, like with Pity Party, I mean, this is why again I can't fully shit on the room, because I mean I went into that with a vision. You know, I had an idea, and part of my reason for making the film, to the listeners that aren't familiar with it, which is all of them, was that I was like, okay, I need to make a career change. I can either go to film school or I can just make this movie. So I made a movie for $10,000. Like, it's a feature-length film, and you know, you can tell it was made for $10,000. But I went into it with an idea of how I was going to construct the scenes and everything. I wanted it to be kind of like a series of sketches and stuff like that. And perhaps I didn't get as much feedback as I should have, a la Tommy Wiseau. Perhaps people were too nice to me and too supportive and didn't say, hey, some of these dialogue choices don't make sense. Because, you know, my Ashley brain will make connections that other people aren't necessarily getting when they're watching the movie. So I've found that people that go into Pity Party with an explanation about what's happening seem to understand it and like it much more than those that watched it blind. So yeah, sometimes you just need to creatively figure stuff out. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just trying to make myself sound smarter than I am.
It goes to what I was saying. It's like, again, having a friend to read over the script first, so you iron out those things. Like I know you put something in front of us a little while ago for that feedback. It's like, I'm going to be honest because that's the purpose of it. It's not to crap on anything, but it's to make sure things make sense. And I can't remember, like I've heard this about some filmmakers, it's just not coming to my mind. It's like they can't handle that someone saying no, so they just shove it out. But I mean, Star Wars wouldn't be what it was if Lucas didn't have someone going, no, that's dumb. Right?
Well, I mean-
a lot of the
literally-
original trilogy is strong because he had people saying, no, I wouldn't do that.
A lot of that was his wife at the time. She would, like any success of Star Wars, in my opinion, majority because his wife just being like stupid.
But I mean, I'll be honest, like my films and stuff, pretty much all of them are made out of spite or to prove that I could. Like, I've applied and been rejected to so many grants and funding things because, okay, to your American listeners, we have a much different film funding system up here. For independent films, you pretty much have to make them entirely yourself, or you can apply for different government grants. Of course, there are problems with which films always get selected to be funded. We don't have the same private studio system. So anyway, I digress. Been rejected by many a grant, and then each time I was just like, well, I'm gonna make it anyway. And yeah, when you self-fund things, they don't necessarily turn out quite as good as if you have a Hollywood budget, which is why, again, I empathize with Tommy Wiseau.
Well, you should point it's like the budget of a film isn't an end-all be-all. Like, you could definitely have massively entertaining stories that, you know, you can clearly see the strings on the monsters in it. Like I've been watching some unfiction stuff. What was it called? It's like Hi Mary, I'm Mary, I think was one of them, where it's just there's like, I think that's the one it was. There's like this monster, and it's like clearly this crappy paper mache monster, but it doesn't matter because the story is there.
Well, I definitely think a film like Pity Party would be much more deserving of the $6 million budget compared to The Room.
And that is the nicest thing you've said to me. Thank you. If I ever get $6 million to make a movie, I will actually pay you to be in it.
I mean, you paid me an exposure. You had me star in your film, and there was a bunch of nice side actors, and they did a good job. The directing seemed great, and everyone remembered their line. I mean, I had a solid performance. Check it out. Pity party.
On Vimeo for free.
I guess. I don't think I'll be able to get us back on track, so
Again, I like how he keeps implying that there was a track that
no,
we were on in
we
the
talked
first
about the film. It's
If you
it's
like other independent films with tiny budgets that are actually well made, you should check out the Foggy Owl Film Festival and submit your film. Yeah, because we just opened for submissions. So submit your low budget but not shitty short dark comedy or creative horror film through foggyowlfilms.com. Thanks for letting me shill that.
that's okay. And make sure
Thanks for
to
letting us do videos on your film festival for exposure ourselves.
Bought the trade. We'll do it again this year.
Oh yeah. Check out Bappy Shorts.
check out ashleygood.ca to find out what other works Ashley Good has produced. Various books.
Oh, you guys didn't.
Check out her
embarrass me every
podcast.
time I come here. I'm just like, stop it.
Check out her
Stop
podcast
talking
to
about
see
me.
how she really feels about us.
Just hang out in a bush with binoculars outside her house. It's cool.
Please don't.
Don't do that. I do not endorse my own message. So I guess.
Hey, can you explain that weird flashing I've been seeing in the corner of my bedroom? Is there like a camera or something I should look for? I downloaded one of those apps to try to find them, but it doesn't seem to be working. I don't know. I can't explain it.
It's a ghost sensor. It's because your house is haunted.
Oh, fuck. I
Here,
mean...
let me just check online to see if the cameras work. I mean...
So to recap, The Room, I actually think people should watch it. I agree with one thing that I saw, which is it's the best worst movie you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
I don't have a rating for it because there's no way I could possibly even arbitrarily assign a form of rating to such a masterpiece.
I actually I agree. It's like I didn't hate watching it. I think it would have been interesting to experience like watching it with people, but I didn't hate. I enjoyed my time watching it.
I mean, like Mystery Science theatering it,
yeah.
as I actually had mentioned, like the whole like culture around it. I honestly wouldn't mind a play of it, something like Rocky Horror-esque, but like The Room. I'd be down for that. I'd go.
You just want to see that sweet, sweet chocolate scene in person.
I do like a chocolate. Well, I guess with that, I will wrap it up. Of course, joining us was our extremely talented and kind guest, Ashley. Submit your films to the Foggy Isle Film Festival, and in the description, I'll put links and various things. And something BNB 20. It's not for my Airbnb. It is for a discount.
Yeah, the code was BNB BN, the letter B20 to save 20% off of your film submission through foggyowlfilms.com. And also, I hate your constant compliments, but I do love being on the show. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Everybody should rate and review like 5 stars. Yeah. 5 real stars, not like a humoring way like we might give The Room 5 stars. I'm rambling. Thanks for having me on.
5 real stars would destroy the planet, Ashley. Stop it. And as always, if you like what we do, give us a like and a subscribe. Share us with your friends. Join us in the conversation in the comments or at our Discord. Join us next time, where we discuss Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Later.